as our presenter, we have Suraj Krishnan. Suraj is a IT employee. He's currently associated with Infosys. His passion is always towards photography. Currently, he's experimenting and specializing in the field of aerial photography. And he's a very dynamic person and a lot of enthusiasm for learning new things. I welcome Suraj Krishnan to deliver the presentation. The floor is all yours, Suraj.
Thank you, Hari. Thanks for having me at this forum. I think this is a huge platform for sharing a lot of thoughts and ideas. And I just wanted to connect to the point which you mentioned, the first thing which you said on film camera. That is when even I started having the enthusiasm on clicking pictures, that we had to wait for a film to be exposed for almost a couple of days and then see the final image after you click it. So that is something which was very kind of interesting stuff for me. I still have my first camera. I missed to have it on my table. Yeah, maybe on the next session I'll have it. So thank you, Hari. And yeah, this talk is going to be on travel filmmaking and photography. We'll keep it crisp and minimal because I don't want, we have a time frame within which we have to confine. Now, yeah, talking about, introducing myself, I'm Suraj Krishnan. I'm an employee with an IT firm in Mysore, and I also have my interest into photography as well as filmmaking, travel filmmaking, also pitching into drone filmography and videography, photography as well. So yeah, moving on to the slides, I just have quickly summed up few things which I found interesting, which would be helpful for anybody who is planning to pitch into photography or filmography in a later point. So moving on to my slides, not sure, I'm actually live on Instagram. Okay, I'll close this for now. Thank you. Yeah, so coming to my points. Yeah, so everyone, hope I'm audible to everyone. You can use the chat window for interaction. Now the final 10 minutes would be, 5 to 10 minutes would be Q&A. Can give me a cue on the chat window if possible. Yeah, moving to the slides. Now, yeah, who doesn't like to travel, especially after the lockdown and the corona restrictions? We all have tried to explore our boundaries, which are in our near vicinities or even far more places, thanks to social media, geotagging, all facilities to even share those spaces to the public. Now, when it comes to travel filmography or photography, it is very much important to understand the culture of that particular location which you are traveling into, and because based on your the way you portray it is how the person on the other end is going to see it. You have all been through a lot of vlogs or documentaries on YouTube or any other social media platform. Obviously, that would give you a clear picture of what that particular location defines to be. Now, that is more important because when you portray a particular location, people are going to judge or even understand how they are going to plan to travel to that location based on your inputs. Now, researching is very important. We all say that unplanned trips are the best, but when it comes to a travel photographer or a filmographer, it's important to know how the terrain is, what the culture is. We have all facilities provided on the internet. We have the Google Maps, we have the maps provided for particular location with geotagging, with images, and also we can get in touch with whoever is one thing which I use very commonly is the hashtags. Now, when you give a hashtag of that particular location, you get to see a lot of images which are posted online. Also, you can use the maps facility on even on different social media applications like Instagram, Facebook. You have options to find a particular location and then get into more details and then understand the crux of that particular space and what would be exclusive for you to capture. Now, when you capture a particular place, it is always important to give a fresh perspective than having something which is already loaded or stuffed on internet. That is where drone filmography and photography has been the hype stuff on internet recently, because not all of us have seen the aerial view of the place which we stay or which are in our near vicinity, or maybe which looks completely different on that perspective. Now, I'm gaining more interest into drone photography because that actually gives me a lot of insight on how a particular place can be showcased. Now, that cannot be a complete episode, so that's why travel, like when it comes to drone photography or filmography, it confines to just few seconds of your intro. Okay. Now this is the main aspect. I just want to show a few gears which I use and help you suggest or find, because a very common question which I get over the internet or in my personal circle is which camera to buy. People have a particular budget within which they want the best gear. Now, if until and unless you are a professional photographer or videographer, I'll not recommend you to buy a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, because it's very professional gear and it is very heavy and hefty to travel with. But it has its own. For example, this is a full frame camera, a Sony A7 III. This has a capability of shooting videos on 30 frames per second in 4K. But the joke part is, like, you have an action camera which can shoot much more slower frame rates in a tiny form factor. Now, this is something which people love to travel with. I have seen a lot of travel vloggers or photographers using this for their regular like travel vlogging stuff, because it has its own advantages. And the disadvantage part, I would say, is the lens part, because you have only a fixed focal length and you are not able to swap lenses on this, but you have it has its own capabilities, and the person who is able to take the maximum juice out of it will be able to succeed in getting the details of the particular space which he is traveling into, or also even into portraits. Now, yeah, a very common device, we all have this mobile phone. Now, this is one thing which I travel with very commonly, and what I enjoy the most is posting it on stories, like for example WhatsApp status or Instagram stories or Facebook stories. All these are something which has got me a lot of attention recently, because I try to click, like, it is annoying to travel with a photographer because we stop at every nook and corner to find a frame and post it on the story. But yeah, it has got a lot of interest based on the perspective which it gives. Everyone, like, I think most of us have a dual camera system or a 3-camera setup, wherein you have a primary sensor and a zoom sensor, which is a 2x zoom or a 3x zoom, and a wide angle. So this has replaced a lot of DSLR usage nowadays. And yeah, that is where it is very important to understand the gear you have, and based on which you have to invest. Because I would not recommend. I have a lot of friends who have taken suggestion from me on buying a DSLR and shelved it like anything. They have never used it, which is something annoys me on being a photographer and recommending somebody a gear, and you don't see them using it. I literally scold them for investing a lot of money into this and not using it. Okay, now switching into street photography. This is in particular about travel photography. Street photography is the most loved genre, I would say. You have a lot of inspiration on the internet. You have a lot of famous photographers like Steve McCurry, Vinny Vora, Hari Menon, so on. It's a huge list. They use even mobile phones to capture whatever perspective they get, and the photos are amazing. Like, they have been my inspirations since day one I started with photography. Now, when it comes to travel photography, it is always important to find a particular frame. And also one main important stuff here is like getting the consent of the person you are shooting. When you are doing street photography or travel photography, make sure that you have the consent of the person whom you are shooting, and then approach them first, and then make sure that you show them the image at least. Obviously most of them would not see it at a later point of time, but I have a friend who does. I'll not take his name because I have not taken his consent before taking this message. The thing he does is, like, after traveling, after a couple of years, he goes back to the same place and gives them a printout of what he has shot a couple of years back. So that is something which interests me. Now, yeah, this is a quick round. I think you can drop your comments onto the chat window. Like, do I have you all? Hello. I know it is becoming kind of a radio stuff, but I want you here because this is something which I want to be interactive. So I'll just drop a hi in the chat window. Not sure if this has been interesting so far, but yeah, here on I need your complete attention. Can anyone tell me which gear has been used to click this picture? Hello. Okay. All right. Okay, it's a question. I asked you a question. Fine. So yeah, it is a mobile click. No, it's not an iPhone click. Sorry, it's a regular normal phone which had a single sensor. And this is edited on Snapseed, but this is a mobile click. So moving on to the next slide, can you tell me which gear has been used to click this? No, and my question is very clear. Is it a mobile phone or a DSLR camera or any other device in specific? I don't want to take any brands. This is not brand specific. This can be done with any camera. But yeah, okay. I'll quickly move to the next one. This is also shot with a mobile phone. It's not a DSLR. Okay, this one. Can you guess the gear? Quickly, we have very short time here. Anyone? I think it's very difficult to switch on from your phone and then type it and see it again, maybe. Manu, yeah, it's not a mobile click, it's on a DSLR. I know it's quite tricky, but you can achieve the same output from a phone as well. And this is a DSLR click. How about this? I think we are going to the last portion of the rapid fire. Okay, quickly moving on. This is shot on a DSLR camera. These images are shot on DSLR camera. Like, this is what I was discussing about. I clicked few pictures for my story, which are shot on phone basically. All right. Now, coming to the basics, these are very important points, but I'll not be able to rush through this because each of these require a single session for discussion, and also images. Now, because I have a strict time frame, I'm just giving you the list. I can share the same thing, like the list will be there in the final video as well. So these are few points which can help you frame things in a better way, but these are not fixed rules. I'm just repeating, these are not fixed rules. You can find or explore your own ways on portraying an image, but these are tested and proven methods which can help you compose an image in a better way and portray it in a crowd pleasing manner. Now, not everything is a crowd pleasing image, I agree, but you are flexible. Like, when you are a photographer, you are flexible enough to try out explore new space, on finding new composition techniques. And but these few lines I'll just run through. Leading lines, rule of thirds, negative space, that is avoiding negative space, horizon, and symmetry or patterns. These are very common techniques which I can share on a later point of time if we have a session later on. Obviously I'll have these prepared, but yeah, these can be few things which can help you have more depth into your images. Now, this is an imaging technique which is very common nowadays. This is a double exposure image wherein I have my friend who is in the frame. His name is Nitin Sharan. He's a fellow photographer. I have clubbed two images. This can be done on phone as well. If possible, we'll have a separate session for this as well, because this is usually done as a demo during my sessions. Now here we have only showed you one image which can help you understand, or you can even Google it. It's called double exposure. Now, going an extra mile. Going the extra mile is something which we all photographers do. In the frame, you can see my friend Arun Hegden is trying to portray the image of the Mysore Palace from the binocular, which is placed at the viewpoint. Now, we all take our extra efforts, right? We all try to bring a fresh perspective into life when we try to capture a place. Now, you can do it both ways. You can use it by do it by having a gear which can help you enhance the visual, or by using something which is already there in the vicinity. Now here he's smartly tricked into having a binocular which can have him a closer perspective of the palace. Now this is my friend Chinmay Koti. Yeah, he is also a photographer and a hyperlapse filmmaker. Now he is trying to take a long exposure image which is handheld. So that is also one technique which you can try, which needs a little of expertise, but then yeah, I think all these comes out of your experience and how many times you try to do it. Okay, now coming to drone or landscape photography. These are some of my latest images. On the left you can see the Taj Mahal, and on the right you can see the Chennai Casimir beach. Now, coming to drone photography and videography, I think there are a lot of questions rising in people, like on the rules and regulations. Now, for Taj Mahal, there is a clear restriction that you are supposed to shoot only 500 meters outside the perimeter of the monument. Now, this has been shot exactly following the rules. Make sure that you don't end up in trouble by breaking the rules. But yeah, when it comes to drone photograph, before flying itself, you have to check something. If you are using a particular brand called DJI, they are the pioneers. Now they have a fly zone map which has been updated with respect to the places which are under no fly zone. Now before takeoff itself, you have to check whether that place is, and also if it's for a commercial purpose, make sure that you have a consent from the nearby police station if you're flying a drone which is above 500 grams. This is a shot with a nano drone which is sub 250 grams, so you need not have any permissions as such. But yeah, it has its own rules and regulations. So before flying it, make sure that you have all the rules understood. Yeah, I'll quickly run into the final portion. We are running short of time. Yeah, do's and don'ts. I think these are very common aspects, but yeah, yeah, I feel it is very important to have it discussed, because this forum is addressing it to a larger audience. Now, when you have a video or a photo going on public, make sure that you have the facts right. You don't manipulate anything and show a graveyard as a paradise and end up people cursing you for reaching there on your recommendation. So make sure that you have the facts right when you have something portrayed or posted on the social media. And one more thing which is very common nowadays is like reduce having negative details about a particular place or a tourist spot, because the social media is really biased. If you put it even with an intention to correct something, it doesn't end up resolving that. So make sure that you have it addressed to the local authorities or something which can address and resolve it. And then even then it is not resolved means, yeah, you can use a public or social media to address such kind of concerns. But yeah, make sure that you portray the positive side of a particular space or location which you are traveling into, because it is very important to increase that culture of traveling. And this is more relevant into filmmaking. The first one was into photography. Now this is more relevant into filmmaking, because copyright is something very, very important. I think most of us, like especially people on social media who are using their phones to shoot stuff, maybe are not aware of this. But this is very professional. You have to be aware of the content which you are using. Even if you are reposting somebody's images, make sure that you provide the necessary credits to that particular person. And if at all that particular image is being sold to some production company or who have taken the rights of it, if you post it online, that can end up in a legal complication. So avoid using content which is copyrighted to somebody. And yeah, make sure that you give due credits. And there is always a possibility of using content on fair use. Like even if there is a copyright, if you are aware of YouTube rules and regulations, there is an option to provide audio content which is on a fair use. Until and unless it is a commercial usage, you can always have audio or any other content used on a fair use agreement from the content creator. I think, yeah, that pretty much sums up my session. I know it has been really quick. I have not elaborated on the points which I wanted to, because we had a shorter time frame. Maybe we can touch upon these in detail in future. Yeah, these are the contact details. Like you can reach us on it's my personal mail ID. It's surajkrishna5@gmail.com. And for positive talks, you can reach out to positivetalks999@gmail.com. And Suraj Krishna _ is my personal Instagram ID. And I think we have the last 10 minutes of the session. Okay. Okay, Hari, back to you.
Yeah.